What's up, guys? Specstar here today with my Week 2 battle of Mega Beedrill. And yeah, it is a little bit late, and that is because of how difficult it was to get motivated to record this after what a fiasco the last one turned out to be. Spent all day trying to make it, and then it wound up laggy. But you know what? I got my motivation to try it again. Hopefully we can get this one working sufficiently. And this week we are up against Youngster Bill and his team consisting of Mega Gallade, Garchomp, Alolan Muck, Audino, Skarmory, and Decidueye. And I will switch over here to my team. Starting off here, I've got a bulky Gardevoir, Modest, running Wish, Protect, Hyper Voice, and Thunderbolt. Basically, Hyper Voice hit everything except for Skarmory and Moltres, which Thunderbolt hit. I actually went with a bulkier variant because I needed help responding to Vanillux and Tapu Fini, and making Gardevoir bulky helped me do that. So that's my set there. Next up, I've got a Tornadus, and I'm running a bulky Taunt variant with Knockoff and U-Turn. Taunt helps with things like Skarmory and Audino without needing coverage for them. Knockoff and U-Turn are mostly there for Eel, which I actually expected to be the switch-in on this thing, but it didn't actually come. I just wanted to get that thing chipped down and then go into my Zygarde below. But he actually brought something else for it, as you guys will see. I have speed on this thing, I believe, for typical 110 Mon at 350. I think that's what it was for. Again, this was a bit ago, so if you guys have been watching, you know how I remember old sets. Bulky, just this thing it didn't need the immediate power as much as it needed the overall ability to beat everything, and that's what the bulk helped me do. So next up here, I've got a Banded Zygarde. It definitely helps me respond with Eel, because if that thing, Tornadus was definitely what I was looking at as my win con in this, and if Eel slowed it down, I needed to be able to take advantage of Eel coming in, and Zygarde did that. He had a pretty difficult time switching in on Bandit on paper, so I thought it would be good for him. His grass type is Decidueye, which I could hit pretty good with Crunch if I made the play. And I don't have a Dragon move because of his Fini, which I did expect to come, and I didn't really think for it I'd want to click Outrage, so I just brought Stone Edge, which is kind of a middle ground move that can hit things like Fini and other possible switch-ins at the same time. Next up here, I've got my Terrakion Banded. Just a typical breaker set that can hit Skarm and also try to revenge kill Garchomp if it has any chip on it. I'm running Rock Slide, which is basically just a filler move and Quick Attack, which could help with things like Mega Gallade potentially later on in the game. Oh yeah, Mega Gallade's what I had the speed on Torn for, duh. Next up here, I've got my Bronzong. Physically defensive, pretty standard set, except for I got Rock Slide in case he did bring Moltres. I didn't want to be too passive against that thing. And then just setting up Rocks, Gyro Toxic, physically defensive. This is my response for Garchomp, which is not the easiest mon to respond to at all. And lastly here I have my Beheeyem, which is in fact a Pokemon, I'm pretty sure. This thing is intended to be my switch-in on Mega Gallade, which is actually just a giant nuisance to my team. And I'm running Thunder Wave, Shadow Ball, Teleport, and Recover. Basically, I just want to paralyze the Gallade. I need the Colbur Berry to take a knockoff after Swords Dance from it. Shadow Ball's the best thing I have to hit it in case it set up a sub as I switched into this thing or something like that. And basically just Teleport is the move I want to do if I predict him to switch. Like if I come in on a Drain Punch and I know he's going to want to switch, I just want to have the ability to teleport there. So those are my sets, and we'll get back here to the game. So he led off with Decidueye, and I led off with Gardevoir, and that was that right off the bat was not a great turn for me. My Gardevoir basically, since I could take a hit from a Life Orb Garchomp, My Gardevoir was a good lead against anything except for Muck or Decidueye, so I took that shot there to try to get some pressure on early, but he leads the Decidueye, which is unideal. And I have to go into my Tornadus here, and he goes right for the Poltergeist. Now, based on this damage, that would be the absolute maxed roll for Adamant Scarf, which, when I don't see Life Orb, I start to really suspect that that's what he would be, and that is certainly a problem for my team. I was actually more so expecting him to be a Life Orb set with priority, or maybe even a specially defensive set, but if he is this Adamant Scarf set, that's going to be a pretty big problem for me. So I have to switch out into my Zygarde since my Tornadus isn't fast enough to outspeed this thing as an Adamant Scarfer. So we'll go into my Zygarde here. He goes for Poltergeist, and that does 42%, which is way too much. I actually just go for my Crunch because I really needed damage off on that thing, and I didn't know if he was going to want to attack again. He goes into his Skarmory. Unfortunately for him, I get the defense drop, and I go into my Terrakion here to try to put some pressure back on. I need to get something going. I go right for the Stone Edge, and he goes into Glade. At least the thing's going to take more than half, so there's a big monster chipped. I switch into my Behemoth, and he switches into Garchomp. I still need my Behemoth to deal with his Glade, so I'm going to switch into my Bronzong here. He goes for Swords Dance, and I just need to get damage off here. So I go for my Gyro Ball. Now at least I know the thing's in range of my... It's in range of my Terrakion, sorry. I go for another Gyro Ball here as he sets up rocks, and then he'll be able to pick me off with Crunch. I go into my Terrakion, but unfortunately he's got some hazards up, so I'm already feeling the pain. He goes into Skarmory as I click Stone Edge, being a little bit aggressive. Laptop crash, but we're back. Terrakion here is just about to land another Stone Edge and pick off the Skarmory there. Fortunately able to land those, but not fortunate to face this big Glade again. I go into my Behemoth here. He Swords Dances up. I think I'm in range of knockoff now if he has it, but he actually goes for Drain Punch. I wasn't surprised, I was surprised to see him click Drain Punch there. If I would have known he was going to click it, I would click Thunder Wave, but Shadow Ball was better against everything else, since Drain took him out of range of Shadow Ball. That'll leave him at 13% though until he heals up a little bit here. I'll bring out my Torn on this thing. He switches out into his Muck as I just go for a Hurricane. Only doing 19, so that is Vest as fuck. I go into my Terrakion hard on the Muck. He goes for Gunk Shot, which unfortunately does poison. That kind of sucks a little bit, but I have landed Hurricanes and Stone Edges, so, you know, I guess that's fair enough. I do KO the Garchomp there with a Stone Edge. I can no longer save Terrakion, so Glade's going to pick up the kill there. I'm back in my Torn, which is fortunately back near full. He goes into Audino. I'm just going to be taunting this thing. He tries to go for Wish, but the taunt will stop that. I go for another Hurricane. I've never seen this many inaccurate moves land on my side, but we take them. I U-turn out into my Gardevoir here because I need to keep my Tornadus healthy here. It's existential. My Gardevoir here is going to go for Hyper Voice and pick off a kill, but unfortunately it's going to allow the Decidueye to come in. Poltergeist is going to be able to take out my Gardevoir. I go into my Tornadus here, I fire off another Hurricane. He goes for Poltergeist, puts me down to 40%. I actually went for Knockoff right because it was a little bit safer than Hurricane. Knocking a Cane was sure to kill and takes off his Scarf. My bad. He goes into Muck, I U-turn. Now, I did have to do this because after Hurricane, somehow that Muck was still out of range of extreme speed. So I had to go into Zygarde and chance it not being Ice Punch here, which I thought it would have Ice Punched on the turn it was in previous if it had it. But I go in my Zygarde here and it does have the Ice Punch, and that was going to pick him up the win here in this game. I'm just able to Hurricane it, fishing for confusion. But instead I'm actually going to get frozen. Not that it mattered. But he's going to pick up a well-deserved win. His Decidueye set was really smart, and it very much put me in a bad position early, and he was able to keep up the pace from there. So GG to my opponent. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it's not laggy as shit. Thank you guys for watching. Have yourselves a good night.